Welcome to another episode of Dinner Starts Here, where we've got a bit of a different tour. Not a farm, but another business that is helping support farmers. We're at Salford Manufacturing. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
No problem.
So you're the head honcho around here. Give me an idea, maybe tell me first of all what Salford is. What do you guys do here?
All right, well, Salford's a farm equipment manufacturing company. We make tillage equipment, fertilizer application equipment. We make aerators for golf courses and pastures. And we have 6 manufacturing plants and ship all over the world.
Oh, wow. So sizable to begin with, obviously. But you're just kind of located in just a little town here in Oxford County. How did Salford get started? Why are you here?
Well, we're of course in the town of Salford, Ontario, which is a small little village. And that's where the founders started the business, and we just kept growing from here and kept adding buildings and adding additions and start off small, and then we started adding factories and move on to buying companies the next stage as we all grown up.
That's cool. Well, I mean, because right now we're actually in a conference room that's actually it's a house. This was kind of one of the original houses, was it not, of the owners? That's kind of...
This is the founder's house.
Yeah.
And that's why at Salford Engineering is called the house.
The house, because it's actually...
So if someone says, did you get house approval? Yeah. That means, did you get engineering approval?
Did you get engineering approval?
Yes. So 30 years from now, no one will ever know why engineering is always called the house.
The house, but it's because you're actually located in a house. So that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
So because really where all of your equipment begins, before you make it, is at engineering. Tell me what engineering does.
Oh, they start with ideas from the field, whether it's a farmer producer or a salesman or their own ideas. You collect ideas from everywhere. There's no spots we don't look for ideas. Sometimes you see a farmer's modified one of our machines. And that's a pretty neat idea, and then you take a look. Like any time you want to see a direction of a product, see how people are using your product. Well, they don't seem to like it. They modify it. Okay, what do we need to do with our product? So ideas come in for everywhere. It's not just engineering. Engineering is more about refining ideas and working out the strengths, working out what materials you use, working out manufacturability, doing testing, prototype testing, fatigue testing. So lots of neat stuff for the guys that like to play in the shop.
I think Anson's back in the plant. Maybe we'll go find him and get a plant tour.
Excellent.
Thanks, Jeff.
No problem.
All right, so we've left Jeff to get back to work, and we've found Anson in the plant. Anson, thanks for touring us around out here. So we're beside a big machine here, obviously. What are we looking at, first of all, behind you?
Yeah, we've got one of our 5200 Enforcer tillage units here behind me. So Salford Group manufactures tillage and seeding equipment. This is one of our latest and greatest tillage machines.
So then we're kind of in the plant. Obviously, it never starts out as pretty as this. What's the process for putting this together?
The very first thing we'll do is start with an order from one of our dealers. So our dealers and territory sales guys work together to help a farmer choose the right machine. Once that order comes into to the customer service office, they'll help the dealer make sure that they're getting the best program pricing and work that order out to the shop floor. Engineering is going to review orders to make sure that we've got all the right components, everything is set up to go, and then we'll begin cutting steel. So there's several departments in fabrication. They're looking at cutting each piece, whether it's on the saw for tubes, getting to the plasma table for some of the thicker gussets and welds that we put on to add structural support to the machine.
So then, obviously you get it cut. Where does it go from that?
So we'll take the raw material from an order, and the next place we're going to go is weld. We've got several jigs for the different machines, and some of them are scalable. They work in different sizes of units, so a 12 and 16, a 24 may go on one jig, and then we'll move up to a larger jig for larger machines. Once we get all the components fitted in place on the jig, then we work often in teams of 2 to weld them together. One guy tacking and the next guy completing welds. From weld, we move on to blast, where we'll clean the steel with blast media to make sure it's ready and prepped for painting process. use two-part painting process. So we'll put on a primer coat and then put on our nice Salford red next.
And then, so it comes out of paint, it'll dry for a little while, then where does it head?
That's right. After paint, it goes into a bake oven for about 40 minutes or so to help cure that paint. And then we'll come either to full assembly or sub-assembly. So depending on where we're going from, we've got 5 facilities in North America. So oftentimes dealers that are close by one of those plants are going to get a fully assembled machine completely put together here at Salford. So we're looking at the full assembly bay here right now, where we're completely putting this machine together for a dealer, and they'll come hitch on and pull that out to the farm where it will go to use. The other option is sub-assembly, so we'll put the machine part way together for the dealer, and then we'll pack up the rest of the components they need to finish the assembly themselves. That will get loaded on a truck and shipped out to the dealer.
So now you said you've got a tillage piece of equipment here. How many different types of equipment do you make here?
Between the 5 facilities, there's roughly 50 different models of machines. Tillage, seeding, and application tools, and we're probably 50-50 tillage and application, so about 25 models of each. For sure, where we are most successful is where we have kind of a niche in the marketplace, something that Salford does a little bit differently than other manufacturers. So machines like this 5200 Enforcer work a little bit differently, work on a bit of a different principle with independently mounted blades than some competitive tools, and that's where we really produce more volume of those units. And again, in the application space, Salford's pretty focused on high technology equipment, variable rate, hydraulic drive machines for targeting fertilizer application, and that's a good part of what we're doing in the application space.
Now, Anson, if you've got 5 different plants and 50 different, basically types of equipment that you're building, that probably takes a few hands to help put all that together. What are some of the jobs that you've got here at Salford for people that are looking for the work?
Yeah, there's a broad array. In the production space, we've got general laborers working on the shop floor, but also skilled trades, welding, CNC, plasma table and welding table operators. Of course, all that material coming into the shop has to be accounted for, and so we've got a pretty strong purchasing team looking at whether it's the electronics that fit up to machines, the blades, or the raw steel itself. From putting together, purchasing. Of course, we start in engineering, so we're going to design the unit, work with the engineering team to figure out the structural integrity of the machines and how they'll be laid out. And then we have a production support team that assists by coming up with all of the documentation, finishing out the machines to get every nut and bolt, every tire that needs to go in. And it all needs to be documented to go through our business system and to be able to communicate the parts schematics and spare parts information to the dealership. So strong in engineering and production support. And then of course there's a large staff of administrative support. So we're looking at accounting jobs, administrative jobs to help support all those different purchasing functions and the HR role to keep everybody kind of happy, healthy, and secure here. And also a customer service and sales team. So outside of Salford, we have about 20 salespeople that work across North America to be the key face of Salford, working with our equipment dealers. And inside, the customer service team is helping support those dealers, taking their orders, helping get aftermarket parts and additional troubleshooting and support for machines in the field.
Well, thanks, Anson.